There are certain differences between American and British steam engines. Mainly, the Americans don't have buffers, but skirts with their knuckle couplers poking out. They also have bells and often sand domes too. I thought it would be a cool project to modify some old cheap British models and turn them into Americans. For the bases of these engines, I used the LNER N2 produced by Airfix all the way back in the 1980s. I also used a basic Hornby 040 that they've been making for years and years and years. I started by stripping these engines of all the parts that were too British or that would just come off for the painting process. The 040 was easy, I just had to remove its buffers and couplings, but the N2 was much more difficult. I ended up removing the pipes on the boiler permanently and sanded down the rest of the boiler caps. I eventually made new versions of these parts. I also removed the whistle and safety valve. Yeah, I only had one left. Then I sanded everything while I worked on AutoCAD. I had to design several parts for both locomotives. They both got back skirts, front cow catchers, sand domes, and bells. As I've already said, the N2 also got some minor details from the boiler reprinted too. The front and back of the 040 got a little screwed up in their dimensions, but I decided I kinda liked the sort of thrown together engine type look. It makes it feel more industrial. I tried painting the shells by hand, but it came out really bad, so I resanded them down and handed them over to my fiance for painting. She spray painted them green and then did all the black, red, and silver by hand. Once the shells were finished, I glued all the printed and removed parts back on. I also had to cut off both of the couplings, so I fitted new ones through the cow catchers. This was way harder than originally anticipated, so I just added dummy ones for the 040. I also had to cut away parts of the coupler box and rear pony truck on the N2 to make sure they didn't interfere with each other. For the NV, Northern Valley, and the numbers, I used Boston and Albany transfers that I got on eBay. A few diesels were done at the same time, and these four made up my first wave of locomotives for this fictional road. Next, I built custom handrails for our little immigrants. They are made out of paper clips that I just glued together. The last step was weathering. Even though my fiance did a great job, I felt that I really needed that layer of weathering just to seal the deal. I did a test of the weathering strategy I was using on some hopper cars first. I just watered down black acrylic paint and streaked it all over them. The water had the added effect of breaking up the glue marks that littered the bodies. With that, the models were completed. I'm really happy with how these Americanized British engines came out. They were really fun to make and inspired a little line of other such engines that are still in the works. Maybe I'll show them off in a part 2 when they're finished. Who knows? That's all for today, folks. Thanks for watching.